Hey, how's it going YouTube? I'm back in the video, and today I'm going to talk about why the Orlando Magic could potentially be the next super team. Now, obviously, if you are a subscriber, you already know what this series is. But if you're not a subscriber and you're new to this channel, well, basically, this is a series that I do on every single team in the entire NBA. I go through every team, talking about the biggest strengths of their team and saying how they could potentially be the next super team, or in most teams' cases, very good the next year. Now, yes, obviously, some teams like the Knicks and the Suns, obviously, they're not going to be the next super team, but still, they do have some strengths to their roster, and I'm pretty much going to highlight those strengths for the Orlando Magic and pretty much say how they could potentially be very good next year. So no, this isn't me saying they're going to be this beastly of a team and everything. Trust me, I know that, but I'm just going to be going through to why I think they could be very, very good. So without further ado, without rambling on too much, let's get right into this video. Alright, so my first reason for this video is going to be they potentially have the highest ceiling for a team in the entire NBA. Now, the reason I say potentially the highest ceiling is because they have a lot of very young players with extremely high ceilings, but they haven't really lived up to their hype, or really have not really came close to reaching that ceiling and haven't shown us what we need to see to really know if they're going to reach that ceiling. So potentially they could have an unbelievable team in the future, but also potentially they could just have a very mediocre team. But a big reason why I say they have so much potential is because 4 out of the 5 of their starting lineup are 28 or under. And I mean, the oldest one is Nikola Vucevic, who's by far the most proven player on that team, and he just got a max deal, but he is an absolute beast. Last year, I mean, he was probably a top 5 center in the entire NBA. We saw him average 21 points per game, 12 rebounds per game, and 4 assists per game. That's extremely good coming from a center. He can shoot threes. He's just extremely, extremely good. And in my opinion, a top 5 center in this entire league. So I would not be surprised at all if he just remains being the main piece of that team, and in my opinion is by far the best player on that team. But another player on that team that is Aaron Gordon, who, I mean, for the first few years in his career looked like he could potentially really become a superstar and really help lead this Magic team to a few playoff bursts and maybe a few playoff runs even. Well, I mean, Aaron Gordon, yes, he's improved every single year, but last year was kind of an outlier year because he did not improve at all. He pretty much stayed the exact same, which kind of concerns me that maybe he hit his ceiling for being that at around 17 points per game, but also they did have a pretty different team with Mo Bamba and making some trades during the season. So, I mean, it's kind of concerning, but if he does improve this year, then, I mean, those concerns are thrown out the window, obviously. But yes, there is a chance that he does have a breakout season this year, being more comfortable with the players that they do have. But there's also a chance that he has his ceiling, and this is about where he's going to be, which isn't even bad. Still around 17 points per game, still a very good power forward, definitely a starting level power forward in this league, even if this is his ceiling. Another high ceiling player on the starting 5 is Jonathan Isaac, who was took with, I'm pretty sure, the 5th or 7th overall pick 2 years ago. And his rookie season, he was kind of injury prone. He got a lot of injuries, and he only averaged like 5 points per game. Now, last year, he did improve off of that year a ton, where he did average almost 10 points per game last year and did have a very good season and shown that he could potentially be an elite shot blocker in this league. He's shown extremely good athleticism. I mean, he does have a lot of potential to improve, and I mean, he did improve quite a lot from his rookie season. So, I mean, maybe next year he can average around 12, 13 points per game, and if he can keep improving off of that, he will become a star in this league. But I'm going to have to see a little bit more and a little bit more improvement this year than from last year as well. So, I mean, yes, he still has tons of potential in my eyes, and I think potentially Jonathan Isaac might become better than Aaron Gordon one day, just because, I mean, if this is Aaron Gordon's ceiling, I can see Jonathan Isaac developing and getting better and better to a point to where he might be a 20-point per game scorer in this league. He's extremely athletic. He has all the intangibles. He's very good on defense. Now he just has to score a little bit more, and he will be one of the better threes in this entire league. But some other good role players that also have very high ceilings are players like Markelle Fultz, Mo Bamba, and even Michael Carter-Williams. Now, Michael Carter-Williams, not as much of a high ceiling, but still has a little bit of room to improve in my eyes, and I think in the right system he will get a lot better. I mean, Markelle Fultz, obviously, he has potential to be one of the biggest busts of all time, but if he can find a way to stay healthy and actually get in games when he's 100% healthy, I would be very, very interested to see how good he can play. Because I don't think we've ever seen Markelle Fultz in an NBA game 100% healthy, and maybe the closest we saw was when he had that triple-double with the Philadelphia 76ers. So, I mean, if Markel Fultz can potentially get healthy and get some confidence back and start getting chemistry with the team, there's a chance he could still have a very good career ahead of him, and maybe even a starting level career, and maybe even very low chance, but maybe even become an all-star level player if he can develop and stay healthy. And then Mo Bamba, another player that came from last year's draft, was a rookie, was kind of a weird draft pick for them, seeing that they already had Nikola Vucevic, but also, I mean, Orlando wasn't expecting to be able to bring back Nikola Vucevic in the offseason, but still, I think it was kind of weird, and I would not be surprised at all if we do see Mo Bamba getting traded this season, because, I mean, there's really no point in having a young player like Mo Bamba just wasting away on your bench. But Mo Bamba, like I said, still very young. He did kind of have a disappointing rookie season, but, I mean, the big part was like him not getting the minutes that he needs to get to develop. So, I mean, I'm sure he's going to improve a little bit just because of the offseason training and 1 year under his belt being in the NBA, but I don't think he's going to be able to improve that much. But still, Mo Bamba does have a high ceiling if he is given the right opportunity. So I would not be surprised at all if we see Nikola Vucevic or even Mo Bamba being traded this year. So yeah, but those are pretty much all the biggest high ceiling players, but all of them, if they can just get halfway to their ceiling or just develop a whole bunch and improve from what they did last year, they have a real shot to become a playoff team and be very, very good in the playoffs and be a hard out in the playoffs. But now my second reason is going to be that they're in the Eastern Conference. Let's be real here. The Western Conference is just loaded with talent. The Golden State Warriors, they lost Kevin Durant and DeMarcus Cousins and still have 3 All-Stars on their team. That is very hard to do. I mean, Houston, now they have Russell Westbrook and James Harden. They just have so many great teams in the Western Conference. I'm not going to name them all, but I mean, even the teams that most likely will miss the playoffs are extremely, extremely talented. I mean, you look at the Pelicans. They have Zion Williamson, Derek Favors, Lonzo Ball, Drew Holiday, J.J. Redick, and they still will most likely not make the playoffs this year just due to how young they are. But they have immense talent on that team, but yet they're still probably not going to make the playoffs. That is a very talented team not to make the playoffs, and I would not be surprised at all if they don't make it. So, I mean, the Eastern Conference is much weaker, and so I could see them definitely having a lot more success in the Eastern Conference because of how, I mean, they have a good enough team to make the playoffs in the Eastern Conference. Now, if they were in the West, I don't think they would be a playoff team at all, but in the East, I'm sure they can sneak at the 8th or even 7th seed, maybe squeeze into that 6th seed. But unfortunately, guys, that's going to be it for this video, so comment below. Do you agree with me? Do you think that the Orlando Magic could potentially be the next super team? Do you think they're going to be a bust? Do you think they'll make the playoffs? Any hard thoughts in the comment section below. If you did like the video at any point, hit the like button and the subscribe button. It would mean the absolute world to me. And also, hope you have a blessed day. Can I have a blessed day? So you need to have a blessed day. All glory to God. See you in the next video. Goodbye. Boo. Blah, blah, blah.